Well, Wolfpack, it's been a good ride in the center of a dark void, but it's time to conclude another Twilight Zone spree. In spite of all my nitpicking, whining, and heckling, I truly do love this show, which is why I want to end things on a grand note. The Shelter is, much to my utter shock, one of the most phenomenal tales I've ever seen. This is the Platinum Trophy material of horror, which made the Zone such a high-class museum of art. I'm blown away at how great this horror story was. Heck, still is great by today. It might be a hugely underrated masterpiece, which earns more love for its style. This nightmare's an old-fashioned scary story in a similar vein to Maple Street, but in my opinion, it withstands the test of time and capitalizes on the serious themes of that gem with a way more harsher message and grim storytelling than it did. Yes, I genuinely believe this tale is better than the monsters are due on Maple Street. The Shelter is simply a cautionary tale, warning folks about the dark nature of people, and how easily civilization collapses when fear, selfishness, and primal instinct blinds you. Yet it's told greatly through heavy drama, realistic characters, and a genuinely dead serious moral dilemma that disturbingly feels all too fitting in our modern world all these decades later. Now, it is another fable which draws parallels to the Cold War, as it does include a bomb shelter and the dread of a war approaching American soil, but much like Maple Street, the concept has a timeless universal appeal, as it can be applied to different scenarios which we can relate with all these years later, so it's not as dated as some poor attempts are. But what's this epic's whole story? The Shelter takes place in a normal, everyday neighborhood where we follow a doctor named Bill Stockton and his loving family, as well as his friends, loved ones, and kind neighbors. They're in the midst of celebrating the doc's birthday party, showing how close and loving everyone is before it happens. While partying like it's 1969, the government broadcasts red alert warnings, informing the town that mysterious flying objects have been spotted in space, and that they dread the beginning of a war. So everyone must get to safety, where Bill and his fam prepare to survive in their bomb shelter.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
Believe it or not, some folks actually blow this episode off as a retread of Maple Street, since it does share a similar setup. Yet unlike some other recycled stories, I truly think this one forms its own identity, thanks to what occurs later. Bill and his family prepare to hibernate in the shelter, but there's only one problem. None of their neighbors own any personal bomb shelters. The Stocktons are the sole family on the block who stocked tons of quality survival gear.
We are so fucked.
And the rest of this episode is basically everyone on the block desperately trying to gain access to Bill's bomb shelter, since they're unprepared for the war. The neighbors are short-sighted fools who didn't think ahead, and they beg Bill to save them as they're his pals, yet Bill knows he can't, as he needs to save his own kin.
What you're about to watch is a nightmare.
It's a fairly simple conflict, but a dang good one, as the episode truly does every single thing and dramatic idea you can pull with this. All the neighbors express a variety of emotions and reactions to Bill in order to use his shelter. They beg, they try to be reasonable, they try to be forceful, they ask if he can take kids, they turn on him, every human reaction you can imagine. This simple dilemma spirals into a deranged, straight-up horrifying nightmare, as there truly is no bad guy in this like Maple Street, but it's a morally gray outlook on what people will do to survive or get their way.
I feel sorry for you then, Bill.
I really do. You probably will survive, but you'll have blood on your hands. You're a doctor! You're supposed to help people! Help!
I love when the Twilight Zone does stories more akin to this, as it feels like a genuinely good social commentary, since nobody is portrayed as right or 100% wrong. Heck, even Bill is no saint, since he is essentially dooming folks he likes to save his own family. But he's not wrong either, as he does point out that the shelter can't hold everyone. If this sounds familiar, yes, this is another classic Simpsons episode. It sort of parodies this tale, but naturally with a dark comedic approach to how wacky their crashing comet is. Sadly, the shelter won't get as funny as cramming the whole town into one room.
I can't get the door closed. Somebody's gonna have to get out.
I get out, but I don't know where I am.
Hi! Somebody's touching me!
I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's figure out who should stay.
Not only is the fight over a single bomb shelter a cool conflict, but what solidified this as one of my favorites is the character interactions. The neighborhood gets so consumed by fear and anxiety that naturally they turn on each other. And it doesn't happen as fast as Maple Street. The Great Fall slowly boils their emotions to the surface, the more panic overcomes them. What once were peaceful friends descend into hateful savages. They're desperate, full of pent-up hostility, paranoia, fear, nativism, and a bunch of suppressed inner darkness comes to light. It's especially ironic because this plot starts out with a lovely birthday party where they pal around and praise everyone as awesome friends before we get to them stabbing each other in the back, finger pointing, smack talking, and conspiring against Bill or anyone who just disagrees with them. The writing makes you care about the characters, so their sanity slippage hits all the harder. Heck, one dude is so pissed that he seriously becomes a racist.
That's the way it is when the foreigners come over here. Pushy, grabby, semi-Americans. Nobody cares what you think, you or your kind. I think the first order of business is to get you out of here.
Yeah, they all start behaving like that or worse. Even Grandpa Joe becomes a dick.
You're acting like a mob, and a mob doesn't have any brains. You're proving it by what you're doing.
You're an inhuman monster! I said you lose!
As you continue watching the fireworks of insanity, it becomes clear that the true horror is not from the dread of a war, but from people. People who melt down, blame, and reveal their true colors when desperate to do anything they can to survive.
In their last moments, people show you who they really are.
Overcome by sheer hatred and blind rage, the neighbors unite to take Bill's shelter by force. Because if they can't have it, no one can. They seriously jack a battering ram and break their way into the shelter to seize it, even though it renders it useless.
I'm surprised and disgusted by all of you, especially his children.
But just when they're about to kill Bill, the Silent Hill radio comes on at the last sec and says, "False alarm, there is no oncoming war. The flying objects were not aliens this time. They were harmless, unarmed satellites. There's no need to panic, no war, and everything's A-okay."
Now that is irony!
And this is the big reason why I love this more than Maple Street, because it has one element we never see: the aftermath. The power reactivates and all the neighbors rather awkwardly apologize to each other and hastily try to brush everything under the rug, but it's too late. The damage is done.
We could have a block party tomorrow night, a big celebration.
Hey, that's a great idea, block party. Anything to get back to normal, huh?
Normal? I don't know. I don't know what normal is. I thought I did once.
Bill, horrified by what he saw, calls all the jerks out and delivers a powerful Rod Serling speech that's hauntingly real and just as accurate as it is today. He tells off his neighbors for not being true friends, but hostile animals who betrayed everyone and everything the hour they thought civilization collapsed. How they wrecked his family's safety and nearly killed, but want to pretend it's chill. That deep down, humans are selfish, petty, emotionally unstable monsters who will do anything to attack others to get what they desire, stooping to the lowest level possible.
I wonder if any one of us has any idea what those damages really are. Maybe one of them is finding out what we're really like when we're normal. Wild animals who put such a price on staying alive that they'll claw their neighbors to death just for the privilege.
It's a damn grand monologue, as relevant as it is scary. Larry Gates gives a powerhouse delivery and cements this as one of the best messages of the saga. What makes this episode so scary and so good is that it's true. This is a real-world horror that still resonates today, told in a supremely clever method. There is no supernatural monsters pulling the strings or any magical weirdness. It's a realistic statement of fact. The only way for civilization to exist is for people to remain civilized. Yet humans still haven't evolved to such a level yet. Need I say more? This silly, low-budget Twilight Zone tale is great, as it withstands as a timeless masterpiece today. The acting is heavy. The simple set of a bomb shelter in a basement is super effective. The writing of Rod Serling is perfectly woven. The nightmare feels unsettling to nuclear levels. And best of all, the theme holds great wisdom long after the show left us. I can't highly recommend this dazzling gem enough. It is a flawless victory, which deserves way more appreciation from all. So for that, I reward this cautionary tale a gold skull and a perfect score. The Twilight Zone does it again, reminding us why it's perfect television. The shelter is as solid as a steel safe house. An epic which was built to last.
We were spared a bomb tonight, but I wonder if we weren't destroyed, even without it.
Haha, I did it! I reviewed another marathon! I'm free! Curse you, Twilight Zone month!
The Twilight Zone.